Life has a way of teaching us lessons we never asked for, often in ways we never expected. As we go through our days, building relationships, making connections, and putting our trust in others, we inevitably encounter moments of disappointment, surprise, and sometimes deep hurt. These experiences, though painful, are essential parts of our journey. They shape us, mold us, and, if we let them, they can make us wiser and stronger. Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal from someone you once considered a friend? Or maybe you've been surprised by the sudden coldness of someone who once celebrated your victories with you. These moments can leave us questioning everything: our judgment, our trust, and even our own worth. But what if I told you that these experiences, as painful as they may be, are a natural part of life? What if embracing these difficult truths about people could lead to a life of greater clarity, peace, and resilience? We often go through life with a set of expectations about how people should treat us, how relationships should unfold, and how trust should be reciprocated. We expect friends to be loyal, partners to be understanding, and colleagues to be supportive. But life doesn't always work out that way. The truth is, people are complex, and relationships are rarely as simple as we'd like them to be. This complexity is something we all must come to terms with if we are to navigate our lives with grace and strength. Think about the times you've been let down by someone close to you. Maybe a friend didn't show up when you needed them the most, or a partner broke a promise that meant the world to you. The pain of these moments can be overwhelming, leading us to question not only the other person, but also ourselves. We wonder what we did wrong, what we could have done differently, or why we weren't enough. But what if the problem isn't entirely ours to bear? What if understanding the true nature of people can free us from this cycle of self-doubt and disappointment? One of the most difficult but liberating realizations in life is that not everyone will like you, no matter how kind, generous, or caring you are. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you're someone who tries to do right by others. But the reality is, we all have different personalities, values, and experiences that shape our interactions. Some people will naturally gravitate toward you, while others may not. And that's okay. The key is not to take it personally. Instead of spending your energy trying to win over those who don't appreciate you, focus on those who do. Surround yourself with people who value you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. Have you ever noticed that some people only seem to be around when they need something from you? It's a harsh truth, but many people are driven by self-interest. This doesn't necessarily make them bad people. It's just a part of human nature. We're all trying to survive and thrive in our own ways, and sometimes this means looking out for our own needs first. Understanding this can help you navigate relationships with more clarity. When you realize that not everyone's intentions are pure or selfless, you can protect your heart and manage your expectations. You can still be kind and generous, but with the wisdom to know when to pull back and take care of yourself. Trust is another fragile element in our relationships. We often think of trust as something that should be given freely, especially to those we care about. But trust is something that must be earned, not just handed out like candy. When we trust too quickly or too easily, we open ourselves up to the possibility of being hurt. It's important to be cautious with your trust, to let people show you through their actions that they are worthy of it. This doesn't mean becoming cynical or distrusting, but rather being mindful and intentional about who you let into your inner circle. People change, and so do relationships. This is perhaps one of the hardest truths to accept, especially when you've built a life around certain people. Friends who once felt like family can grow distant, and relationships that once brought joy can become sources of pain. Change is inevitable, and it can be heartbreaking, but it's also a sign of growth. As we evolve, our needs, desires and priorities shift, and so do the people we connect with. Embracing this impermanence can help you let go of what no longer serves you and open yourself up to new, enriching experiences. Success, they say, brings out the true colors of those around us. Not everyone will celebrate your victories. In fact, your success might even make some people uncomfortable. Jealousy and competition can rear their ugly heads, sometimes from the most unexpected sources. It's tough to realize that not everyone is rooting for you, but it's also a reminder to stay humble and focused on your own path. Remember that your journey is yours alone, and you don't need the approval of others to validate your achievements. We are all flawed, every single one of us. And while it's easy to spot the flaws in others, it's equally important to recognize and accept our own imperfections. No one is perfect, and expecting perfection from ourselves or others is a recipe for disappointment. By embracing the messiness of being human, we can cultivate deeper connections, built on understanding and compassion rather than judgment and unrealistic expectations. One of the most liberating lessons in life is realizing that you cannot control others' actions, only your own. This truth can be a source of great freedom. When you stop trying to control how others behave, you can focus on what you can control: your responses, your attitude, and your actions. This shift in perspective allows you to reclaim your power and maintain your peace of mind, no matter what others do or say. Lastly, it's inevitable that some people will disappoint you. No matter how much you care for someone or how much you invest in a relationship, there will be times when people let you down. This doesn't mean you should stop caring or stop investing in relationships, but rather that you should learn to manage your expectations and practice forgiveness. Disappointment is a part of life, but it doesn't have to define your relationships. By forgiving others, you free yourself from the weight of resentment and open your heart to healing and growth. As you embark on this journey of understanding these hard truths, remember that each lesson learned is a step toward a stronger, more resilient you. Life will continue to throw challenges your way, but with each challenge comes the opportunity to grow wiser and more self-assured. Accepting these truths about people is not about becoming jaded or losing hope in humanity. Rather, it's about gaining the clarity and strength needed to navigate life's complexities with grace and resilience. Embrace these truths, not as burdens, but as the keys to unlocking a more authentic and fulfilling life. By understanding the nature of people and relationships, you equip yourself with the tools needed to protect your heart, build meaningful connections, and maintain your peace of mind. Life is a journey filled with ups and downs, but by accepting these realities, you can walk your path with confidence, knowing that you are prepared for whatever comes your way. In life, we are often conditioned to believe that if we are kind, generous, and well-meaning, we will naturally be liked by everyone we meet. This belief is deeply ingrained in us from a young age, encouraged by societal norms, cultural expectations, and even the narratives we consume in media and literature. The idea that likability equates to goodness and that being universally liked is a measure of success is pervasive. However, as we grow and experience the complexities of human relationships, we begin to realize that this ideal is not only unattainable, but also misguided. The reality is that not everyone will like you, no matter how hard you try or how virtuous you are. This truth can be difficult to accept, especially for those who derive a sense of worth from external validation. The need to be liked, to be approved of, and to fit in is a powerful motivator for many people, driving them to alter their behavior, suppress their true selves, and conform to the expectations of others. But this constant striving for approval can be exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling. It leads to a life lived for others rather than for oneself, where personal happiness and authenticity are sacrificed on the altar of social acceptance. Understanding that not everyone will like you is not a lesson in cynicism, but rather a call to embrace the diversity of human personalities and experiences. Each person you encounter in life is a unique individual, shaped by their own history, values, preferences, and biases. These factors influence how they perceive the world, and by extension, how they perceive you. It's important to recognize that these perceptions are subjective and often have little to do with your intrinsic worth. Consider, for example, the phenomenon of first impressions. We've all been in situations where we've instantly liked or disliked someone based on a brief interaction or even a single glance. These snap judgments are influenced by a myriad of factors, some conscious, like appearance or body language, and others subconscious, like past experiences or cultural conditioning. The same is true for others when they meet you. Their initial reaction is often a reflection of their own internal world, not a definitive statement about who you are. This understanding can be incredibly liberating. When you accept that not everyone will like you, you begin to free yourself from the relentless need to please others. You can start to focus on being true to yourself, rather than molding your personality to fit the expectations of those around you. This shift in perspective allows you to live more authentically, making choices that align with your values and beliefs, rather than constantly second-guessing yourself in an attempt to gain approval. One of the key benefits of embracing this truth is that it encourages the development of self-confidence. Self-confidence is not about believing that everyone will like you. It's about being secure in who you are, regardless of how others perceive you. When you stop seeking validation from external sources, you begin to build an inner resilience that is not easily shaken by the opinions of others. This resilience is crucial in navigating the inevitable challenges and rejections that come with being human. Another important aspect of accepting that not everyone will like you is the realization that you don't have to like everyone you meet either. This mutual understanding is a cornerstone of healthy relationships. It allows you to interact with a wide range of people without feeling the pressure to form deep connections with everyone. You can appreciate the qualities of others without necessarily wanting to be close to them, and you can maintain a respectful distance from those whose values or behaviors don't resonate with you. This mindset also fosters a more compassionate approach to relationships. When you recognize that others may not like you for reasons that have nothing to do with your worth, it becomes easier to accept differences without taking them personally. You can coexist peacefully with people who don't share your views or who may not be particularly fond of you, without feeling the need to change yourself or them. This acceptance is a form of emotional maturity that leads to more harmonious interactions and reduces unnecessary conflict. In addition to fostering self-confidence and compassion, accepting that not everyone will like you also has practical benefits. It allows you to conserve your energy and focus on the relationships that truly matter. Instead of spreading yourself thin trying to win over everyone, you can invest your time and emotional resources in the connections that are meaningful and reciprocal. This selective approach to relationships leads to deeper, more fulfilling bonds with those who genuinely appreciate you for who you are. Moreover, when you stop trying to please everyone, you open yourself up to the possibility of attracting the right people into your life. Authenticity is magnetic. When you are true to yourself, you naturally draw in those who resonate with your values, interests, and personality. These are the people who will stand by you through thick and thin, who will celebrate your successes and support you in your challenges. In contrast, trying to be everything to everyone often results in shallow relationships that lack the depth and trust needed to withstand life's ups and downs. Another crucial point to consider is the role of social media in shaping our perceptions of likability. In today's digital age, we are constantly bombarded with images of other people's lives, curated to showcase their best moments. This can create a false sense of reality, where we compare ourselves to the highlights of others and feel inadequate when we don't receive the same level of approval or recognition. Social media can amplify the pressure to be liked, as it reduces human interaction to likes, comments, and followers, metrics that can be easily manipulated and do not accurately reflect the quality of our relationships. It's important to remember that social media is not an accurate measure of your worth or likability. The validation you receive online is fleeting and often superficial, based on a carefully constructed image rather than your true self. To find genuine connection and self-worth, you must look beyond the digital realm and focus on the real, unfiltered interactions you have with the people in your life. These are the relationships that truly matter, and they are built on trust, mutual respect, and shared experiences, not on the number of likes you get on a post. Furthermore, the desire to be liked by everyone can lead to a phenomenon known as people-pleasing. People-pleasers often go out of their way to accommodate others, even at the expense of their own needs and well-being. This behavior is driven by a deep-seated fear of rejection and a belief that their worth is dependent on others' approval. While being considerate of others is a positive trait, chronic people-pleasing can lead to burnout, resentment, and a loss of self-identity. To break free from the cycle of people-pleasing, it's essential to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about protecting your time, energy, and emotional well-being. When you establish clear boundaries, you communicate your needs and expectations to others, which in turn fosters respect and understanding. Setting boundaries also allows you to prioritize your own needs, ensuring that you have the resources to be your best self in all areas of your life. Another important aspect of accepting that not everyone will like you is learning to deal with rejection. Rejection is an inevitable part of life, whether it comes in the form of a declined job application, a broken relationship, or simply someone not reciprocating your friendship. While rejection can be painful, it is also an opportunity for growth. Each rejection teaches you something about yourself, whether it's a need to develop new skills, to reassess your goals, or to find people who align more closely with your values. One way to cope with rejection is to reframe it as redirection. Instead of seeing rejection as a reflection of your worth, view it as a sign that you are being guided towards something better. This shift in perspective can help you move forward with greater resilience and optimism, knowing that each rejection is bringing you closer to the opportunities and relationships that are truly meant for you. It's also important to cultivate self-compassion when dealing with rejection. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend who is going through a difficult time. Instead of beating yourself up over a rejection, acknowledge your feelings of disappointment, but also remind yourself that rejection is a normal part of the human experience. By practicing self-compassion, you can build a stronger sense of self-worth that is not dependent on external validation. In addition to dealing with rejection, accepting that not everyone will like you also involves learning to manage criticism. Criticism, like rejection, can be difficult to handle, especially when it feels unwarranted or unfair. However, not all criticism is negative. Constructive criticism, when delivered with good intentions, can be a valuable tool for personal growth. It can help you identify areas where you can improve, refine your skills, and become a better version of yourself. To effectively manage criticism, it's important to distinguish between constructive and destructive criticism. Constructive criticism is specific, actionable, and focused on helping you grow. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is often vague, unhelpful, and intended to tear you down rather than build you up. When you receive criticism, take a moment to consider its source and intent. If it's constructive, use it as an opportunity to learn and improve. If it's destructive, try to let it roll off your back and focus on the opinions of those who genuinely care about your well-being. Another key aspect of accepting that not everyone will like you is understanding the concept of personal responsibility. Personal responsibility involves taking ownership of your actions, decisions, and behaviors, rather than blaming others or external circumstances for your problems. When you take responsibility for your life, you empower yourself to make positive changes and create the outcomes you desire. Accepting that not everyone will like you is part of this process. It involves recognizing that you are not responsible for how others perceive you, only for how you choose to show up in the world. You cannot control other people's thoughts, feelings, or actions, but you can control your own. By focusing on what you can control, your attitude, your behavior, and your choices, you can lead a more empowered and fulfilling life. It's also important to acknowledge that not everyone will like you because of the simple fact that people have different tastes and preferences. Just as you have your own likes and dislikes, so do others. This diversity of preferences is what makes life interesting and vibrant. Imagine if everyone liked the same things, had the same opinions, and wanted the same outcomes. Life would be monotonous and dull, with little room for creativity, innovation, or personal growth. When you accept that not everyone will like you, you begin to appreciate the beauty of diversity. You can celebrate the differences that make each person unique without feeling threatened or diminished by them. This mindset fosters a sense of inclusivity and openness, allowing you to build relationships with people from all walks of life, even if you don't always see eye to eye. Another important consideration is that people's opinions of you can change over time. Just because someone doesn't like you now doesn't mean they won't grow to appreciate you in the future. People change, circumstances change, and relationships evolve. By staying true to yourself and maintaining your integrity, you create the possibility for others to see you in a new light as they get to know you better, or as they themselves grow and change. It's also worth noting that sometimes people may not like you because they feel threatened by your strengths or successes. This can be particularly challenging to deal with, as it's easy to internalize their negative reactions and start questioning your own worth. However, it's important to remember that their reactions are more about them than they are about you. They may see in you something they wish they had, or they may be struggling with their own insecurities. In these situations, it's crucial to stay grounded in your own self-worth. Don't dim your light to make others feel more comfortable. Instead, continue to shine, knowing that your success is not a threat to anyone else's. By staying true to yourself, you inspire others to do the same, even if it takes them some time to come around. Finally, accepting that not everyone will like you is an essential part of self-acceptance. Self-acceptance involves embracing all aspects of yourself, including your strengths, weaknesses, and quirks. It means loving yourself as you are, without needing to change to fit someone else's idea of who you should be. When you fully accept yourself, you become less concerned with whether others like you, because you know that your worth is not dependent on their approval. Self-acceptance is a lifelong journey, but it's one that leads to greater peace, happiness, and fulfillment. As you grow in self-acceptance, you begin to attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are, and you find that the opinions of those who don't like you matter less and less. You become more confident, more resilient, and more at ease with yourself and the world around you. Accepting that not everyone will like you is a powerful step toward living a more authentic and fulfilling life. It frees you from the need to seek approval from others allowing you to focus on being true to yourself. It fosters self-confidence, compassion, and resilience, helping you navigate the complexities of human relationships with greater ease. By embracing this truth, you open yourself up to deeper, more meaningful connections with those who genuinely appreciate you, and you find greater peace and happiness in being exactly who you are. As we move forward, having accepted the reality that not everyone will like you, we delve into another profound truth about human nature, one that can be equally challenging to grasp, but is crucial for understanding the dynamics of our relationships. It's a truth that, once understood, can change the way you see the world and the people around you. Have you ever wondered why people sometimes act in ways that seem selfish or self-centered, even when you've given them your best? The answer lies in the core of human motivation. People are inherently self-interested. This isn't a criticism, but rather an observation of a fundamental aspect of human nature that, when fully understood, can help you navigate life with greater clarity and resilience. Understanding that people are primarily motivated by their own self-interest is not about painting humanity in a negative light. Instead, it's about recognizing that every individual has their own needs, desires, and priorities that drive their actions. From the moment we are born, our survival instincts kick in, guiding us to seek what we need to thrive, whether it's food, safety, love, or recognition. This drive for self-preservation and self-fulfillment is deeply ingrained in all of us, influencing everything from our smallest daily decisions to the most significant life choices. Consider the relationships in your life, whether they be with friends, family, colleagues, or even strangers. Each person in your life is motivated by their own set of interests, and these interests often dictate how they interact with you. For example, a friend might be supportive and caring because it aligns with their desire to maintain a close, reliable friendship. A colleague might go out of their way to help you because it benefits the team and, in turn, enhances their own standing within the organization. Even acts of kindness and generosity, which we often view as selfless, can stem from a place of self-interest, such as the desire to feel good about oneself, to be seen positively by others, or to fulfill a personal value. This realization can be both enlightening and disheartening. On one hand, it helps explain why people sometimes behave in ways that seem selfish or ungrateful. When you understand that their actions are driven by their own motivations, it becomes easier to navigate conflicts, disappointments, and misunderstandings. On the other hand, it can be disheartening to realize that even those closest to you are, at their core, looking out for themselves first. But rather than seeing this as a negative, it's more helpful to view it as a natural aspect of human behavior, one that you too share. Recognizing self-interest in others does not mean you have to become cynical or distrustful. Instead, it can lead to a deeper empathy and understanding of why people act the way they do. When you see someone acting in their own self-interest, rather than jumping to conclusions or feeling betrayed, you can pause and consider what might be driving their behavior. This perspective shift allows you to respond with more compassion and less judgment, understanding that they are simply navigating life with the same motivations that guide us all. Moreover, understanding self-interest can empower you to set clearer boundaries in your relationships. When you know that people are primarily motivated by their own needs, you can be more intentional about protecting your own. It's important to recognize that while it's natural for others to act in their own self-interest, it's equally important for you to prioritize your well-being. This means setting boundaries that prevent you from being taken advantage of or sacrificing too much of yourself for the sake of others. By acknowledging and respecting your own needs, you can create healthier, more balanced relationships. Self-interest also plays a significant role in how people approach opportunities and challenges in life. In any given situation, most people will weigh the pros and cons based on how it impacts them personally. This decision-making process is often subconscious, guided by an internal calculation of what will bring the most benefit or the least harm to themselves. This is why you might notice that people tend to gravitate toward situations that offer them the greatest reward, whether it's financial gain, social status, or personal satisfaction. Understanding this aspect of human motivation can be particularly useful in professional settings. In the workplace, for instance, colleagues and superiors may make decisions that seem to benefit themselves at the expense of others. This is not necessarily a sign of malice, but rather an indication that they are acting in accordance with their own self-interest, seeking to advance their careers, protect their positions, or achieve their goals. By recognizing this, you can navigate office politics with greater awareness and avoid taking actions that might be detrimental to your own professional growth. In personal relationships, self-interest often manifests in how people manage their time, energy, and resources. For example, a friend who consistently cancels plans might be prioritizing their own need for rest or solitude over the commitment they made to you. A partner who seems distant may be focused on their own challenges or goals, even if they don't fully communicate this to you. These actions, while potentially hurtful, are not necessarily a reflection of their feelings toward you, but rather an indication that they are attending to their own needs. This doesn't mean that you should accept all behaviors as inevitable or excusable. Rather, it's about understanding the root of these actions and responding in a way that protects your well-being. If someone's self-interested behavior consistently impacts you negatively, it's important to address it directly and assert your own needs. Clear communication and mutual respect are key to maintaining healthy relationships, where both parties feel valued and understood. Self-interest is also a driving force behind the choices people make regarding their personal growth and development. Individuals often pursue education, career opportunities, and personal goals based on what they believe will bring them the greatest fulfillment. This is why people might choose to relocate for a job, invest in further education, or make lifestyle changes that align with their vision of success. These decisions, while deeply personal, can sometimes strain relationships, especially if those close to them feel left behind or unsupported. When you understand that people are driven by their own aspirations and desires, it becomes easier to support them in their journey, even if it means making sacrifices or adjustments on your part. However, it's also crucial to recognize when someone's pursuit of self-interest conflicts with your own needs or values. In such cases, honest conversations and compromise are essential to finding a balance that respects both parties' goals. One of the most challenging aspects of accepting self-interest as a fundamental human motivation is reconciling it with the desire for genuine connection and love. Love, at its core, is often seen as a selfless act, putting another's needs before your own, making sacrifices for the well-being of your partner, and prioritizing the relationship above all else. However, even in love, self-interest plays a significant role. People enter and stay in relationships because they fulfill certain emotional, physical, or psychological needs. Whether it's the desire for companionship, the need for security, or the pursuit of shared goals, self-interest is often at the heart of why we choose to love and be loved. This understanding can deepen your appreciation of love and relationships. Instead of viewing self-interest as a barrier to love, you can see it as a natural part of what makes relationships work. By recognizing the needs that both you and your partner bring to the table, you can work together to create a relationship that satisfies both of your self-interests while fostering mutual respect and care. This approach leads to a healthier, more balanced partnership where both individuals feel valued and fulfilled. In friendships, self-interest can also shape the dynamics of the relationship. Friends often bond over shared interests, values, and goals which align with their own self-interest. However, as life circumstances change, these alignments can shift, leading to changes in the friendship. For example, a friendship that was once close and supportive might become distant as one person pursues new interests or goals that no longer align with the others. This doesn't necessarily mean the friendship has failed, but rather that both individuals are following their own paths, which may no longer intersect as they once did. Understanding this can help you navigate the natural ebb and flow of friendships without taking changes personally. It allows you to appreciate the role that self-interest plays in the relationship and to recognize when it's time to let go or adjust your expectations. This perspective also enables you to maintain a sense of gratitude for the time and experiences you shared, even as you move on to new connections that better align with your current self-interests. Another important aspect of self-interest is its role in how people manage conflict. In any disagreement, individuals are often motivated by a desire to protect their own interests, whether it's their pride, their beliefs, or their position. This is why conflicts can escalate when both parties are focused on defending their own needs without considering the other's perspective. However, when you recognize that self-interest is at play, you can approach conflicts with a more strategic and empathetic mindset. Instead of engaging in a battle of wills, you can seek to understand the underlying motivations driving the other person's behavior. By identifying what they are trying to protect or achieve, you can find common ground and work toward a resolution that respects both parties' interests. This approach not only diffuses tension, but also strengthens the relationship by fostering mutual understanding and respect. In a broader societal context, self-interest influences everything from political decisions to economic policies. Leaders and policymakers often act in ways that protect their own power, influence, or financial interests, sometimes at the expense of the greater good. This is why it's essential to stay informed and critical of the motivations behind the decisions that affect your life. By understanding the role of self-interest in these decisions, you can become a more engaged and informed citizen, advocating for policies and leaders that align with the collective interest rather than just the interests of a few. Self-interest also plays a significant role in how people approach altruism and philanthropy. While these acts are often seen as selfless, they are frequently motivated by a desire to feel good about oneself, to gain social recognition, or to fulfill a personal value or belief. This doesn't diminish the positive impact of altruistic actions, but it does highlight the complex interplay between self-interest and selflessness. Understanding this can help you approach your own acts of kindness and generosity with a clearer sense of purpose, knowing that it's okay to feel good about doing good. Ultimately, recognizing self-interest as a fundamental aspect of human motivation allows you to navigate life with greater clarity and resilience. It helps you understand why people act the way they do, reducing the likelihood of feeling betrayed, disappointed, or taken advantage of. It also empowers you to prioritize your own needs and well-being, ensuring that you don't sacrifice yourself in the pursuit of pleasing others. As you continue to embrace this understanding, you will find that your relationships become more balanced, your interactions more intentional, and your life more aligned with your true values and goals. You will be better equipped to protect yourself from those who might seek to take advantage of your kindness, while also fostering deeper connections with those who share your values and respect your boundaries. Understanding that people are inherently self-interested is a powerful tool for navigating the complexities of human relationships. It allows you to approach life with a greater sense of empathy, self-awareness, and resilience, knowing that self-interest is not inherently bad, but rather a natural part of what drives us all. By embracing this truth, you can create a life that is more authentic, fulfilling, and aligned with your true self, while also building stronger, more meaningful connections with those around you. As we continue to peel back the layers of understanding human nature, the realization that people are inherently self-interested leads us to another critical truth, one that strikes at the very core of how we build and maintain our relationships. Trust is the foundation of any meaningful connection, yet it is something that must be earned, not given freely. Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal from someone you trusted too quickly? Or perhaps you've been caught off guard by the realization that someone you thought you could rely on wasn't as dependable as you believed. These experiences, though painful, are essential reminders of the importance of caution when it comes to trust. Trust is often seen as the glue that holds relationships together, whether they are personal, professional, or social. It's the invisible thread that connects people, allowing them to rely on each other, share their vulnerabilities, and build something meaningful together. However, trust is also incredibly fragile. It takes time to build, yet it can be shattered in an instant. This is why it's crucial to understand that trust should not be given freely or lightly. Instead, it should be earned through consistent actions, honesty, and mutual respect. When we rush to trust someone without fully understanding their character, we leave ourselves vulnerable to disappointment and betrayal. This is not to say that we should approach every relationship with suspicion, but rather that we should be mindful of how and when we place our trust in others. Trust is not something that should be given simply because someone seems nice or because they say the right things. It should be based on a proven track record of reliability, integrity, and genuine care. Consider the relationships in your life where trust has been strong and unwavering. These are likely relationships where both parties have consistently shown up for each other, honored their commitments, and communicated openly. Trust in these relationships has been built over time through shared experiences and a mutual understanding of each other's values and boundaries. On the other hand, think about the times when trust was broken. Perhaps someone made promises they didn't keep, or they acted in a way that contradicted their words. These moments of betrayal often stem from placing trust in someone who hadn't fully earned it. The importance of earning trust becomes even more apparent in the context of new relationships. Whether it's a new friendship, a romantic relationship, or a professional partnership, the early stages are crucial for establishing the foundation of trust. In these initial interactions, it's important to observe how the other person behaves in different situations. Are they consistent in their actions and words? Do they show respect for your boundaries? Are they transparent and honest, even when the truth is uncomfortable? These are the signs that indicate whether someone is trustworthy or if they are simply putting on a facade. One of the key factors in earning trust is consistency. Consistency in behavior, communication, and values is what reassures us that someone is reliable. It's not enough for someone to do the right thing once or twice. Trust is built when they demonstrate that they can be counted on repeatedly over time. This is why it's important to give relationships the time they need to develop naturally. Rushing to trust someone before they've had the chance to prove their consistency can lead to disappointment and hurt. Another important aspect of earning trust is honesty. Honesty is the cornerstone of any relationship, and without it, trust cannot thrive. When someone is honest with you, even about difficult or uncomfortable topics, it shows that they respect you enough to be truthful. This doesn't mean that trust requires brutal honesty at all times, but rather a commitment to transparency and integrity. If someone is willing to be honest with you, Even when it might not be in their immediate self-interest, it's a strong indication that they value your relationship and are worthy of your trust. However, it's also important to recognize that honesty is not just about telling the truth, but also about being open and vulnerable. Trust grows when people feel safe enough to share their true selves with each other, without fear of judgment or rejection. This kind of openness requires courage, as it means exposing your vulnerabilities and taking the risk that the other person will honor that trust. When both parties are willing to be open and vulnerable, it creates a deeper, more authentic connection that strengthens trust. Mutual respect is another critical component of earning trust. Respect in a relationship means valuing the other person's boundaries, opinions, and feelings. It means treating them with kindness and consideration, even when you disagree or when things get tough. When someone consistently shows respect for you, it reinforces the idea that they are trustworthy and that they value the relationship. On the flip side, a lack of respect, whether it's through dismissive behavior, belittling comments, or disregard for your boundaries, can quickly erode trust and damage the relationship. In professional settings, the importance of earning trust is especially evident. Colleagues and business partners need to be able to rely on each other to fulfill their roles, meet deadlines, and maintain the integrity of their work. Trust in these environments is often built through a combination of competence, reliability, and clear communication. When someone consistently delivers on their promises and communicates openly about challenges or changes, it fosters a sense of trust that allows the team or partnership to function effectively. On the other hand, when someone fails to meet their commitments or withholds important information, it can undermine trust and create an atmosphere of suspicion and insecurity. In personal relationships, the process of earning trust is more nuanced, as it involves not only reliability and honesty, but also emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy is the sense of closeness and connection that comes from sharing your innermost thoughts, feelings, and experiences with someone. It's what allows you to feel understood and supported, and it's a vital part of building trust. However, emotional intimacy takes time to develop, and it requires both parties to be willing to open up and be vulnerable with each other. When someone consistently shows that they are willing to be emotionally present and supportive, it helps to build a foundation of trust that can weather the challenges and changes that life inevitably brings. One of the biggest challenges in earning trust is dealing with past experiences of betrayal. If you've been hurt or betrayed in the past, it can be difficult to trust again, even when someone is genuinely trustworthy. These past wounds can create a barrier that makes it hard to open up and give someone the chance to earn your trust. In these situations, it's important to recognize that while it's natural to be cautious, it's also necessary to allow yourself the possibility of trusting again. This doesn't mean rushing into trust, but rather giving yourself and the other person the time and space needed to build a relationship based on mutual respect and understanding. Earning trust is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. It requires consistent effort and attention to maintain, even in established relationships. Trust can be easily damaged by thoughtless actions, broken promises, or a lack of communication. This is why it's important to remain vigilant and committed to the behaviors that foster trust in your relationships. Apologizing sincerely when you've made a mistake, keeping your promises, and staying true to your values are all ways to continually earn and reinforce trust. At the same time, it's important to recognize that trust is a two-way street. While you may be cautious about who you trust, it's also essential to be someone who others can trust. This means being reliable, honest, and respectful in your interactions, and consistently demonstrating that you are worthy of the trust others place in you. By embodying these qualities, you not only strengthen your relationships, but also create an environment where trust can flourish. It's also worth noting that while trust is essential in relationships, it's not always necessary to fully trust everyone in your life. Different relationships require different levels of trust. For example, you might trust a close friend with your deepest secrets, but only trust a colleague with work-related matters. Understanding the appropriate level of trust for each relationship can help you manage your expectations and protect yourself from potential disappointment. Furthermore, it's important to be aware of the signs that someone may not be trustworthy. These signs can include inconsistencies between their words and actions, a tendency to make promises they don't keep, or a pattern of dishonesty or manipulation. If you notice these red flags, it's important to address them directly and reassess the level of trust you are willing to place in that person. In some cases, it may be necessary to distance yourself from the relationship if it becomes clear that trust cannot be established or maintained. Learning to trust cautiously also means being aware of your own biases and assumptions. Sometimes, we may be quick to trust someone because they remind us of someone else we trusted in the past, or because they fit a certain image we have of a trustworthy person. However, these assumptions can lead us to overlook important signs that someone may not be as trustworthy as they appear. It's important to take the time to get to know someone for who they truly are, rather than relying on superficial impressions. In relationships where trust has been broken, rebuilding it is a challenging but not impossible task. Rebuilding trust requires both parties to be willing to work through the issues that led to the breach and to commit to making the changes necessary to restore trust. This process often involves open and honest communication, a willingness to take responsibility for one's actions, and a commitment to rebuilding the relationship from the ground up. It's important to be patient and realistic about the time and effort required to rebuild trust, and to recognize that it may not always be possible to fully restore the relationship to its previous state. Trust is a powerful and precious thing, but it's also something that must be earned through consistent and genuine effort. By being mindful of who you trust, how you trust, and the ways in which trust is built and maintained, you can protect yourself from unnecessary hurt and disappointment, while also fostering deeper and more meaningful relationships. Remember that trust is not about blindly placing your faith in others, but about recognizing and respecting the process by which trust is earned and upheld. As you continue to navigate your relationships, keep in mind that trust is both a gift and a responsibility. It's something that should be given with care and earned with integrity. By approaching trust with caution and intention, you can build relationships that are strong, resilient, and grounded in mutual respect and understanding. As we move from understanding the delicate nature of trust, we step into another profound truth that shapes our lives and relationships: the inevitability of change. Just as trust must be earned and nurtured, so too must we recognize that people change, and with them, our relationships evolve. Have you ever looked back at a friendship or a relationship that once felt unbreakable, only to realize that it has drifted apart? Perhaps you've felt the sting of someone you were close to becoming distant, or maybe you've experienced the gradual fading of feelings you once thought would last forever. These experiences, though painful, are part of the natural rhythm of life. Embracing the impermanence of connections can lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the people we share our lives with. Change is one of the few constants in life. As individuals, we are always growing, learning, and adapting to the world around us. Our experiences, both good and bad, shape who we are and how we see the world. This continuous process of change inevitably affects our relationships, which are essentially living, evolving entities formed by the interactions between changing people. Just as we change over time, so too do our connections with others. In the beginning of any relationship, there is often a sense of excitement and discovery. Whether it's a new friendship, a budding romance, or a partnership in work, the early stages are filled with promise and possibility. During this time, it's easy to believe that the bond you share will remain as strong and vibrant as it is in those first moments. However, as time passes, both you and the other person will inevitably change. These changes might be subtle, a shift in interests, a new job, or a different life circumstance, or they might be more profound, such as a change in values, beliefs, or priorities. As these changes occur, the dynamics of the relationship will also shift. One of the most challenging aspects of navigating changing relationships is the feeling of loss that can accompany it. When someone who was once close becomes distant, or when a relationship that once brought joy now feels strained, it's natural to feel a sense of grief. This grief isn't just about the relationship itself, but also about the loss of the person you once knew, the person you were when the relationship was strong, and the shared experiences that now seem like they belong to a different time. However, it's important to recognize that change is not inherently negative. In fact, change can be a sign of growth, both for individuals and for relationships. As you and those around you grow and evolve, your relationships will also have the opportunity to grow in new and different ways. Embracing change means allowing relationships to adapt to new circumstances, rather than clinging to the past or resisting the natural flow of life. This doesn't mean that all relationships will survive these changes, but rather that those that do will be stronger and more resilient for having weathered them. Another important aspect of accepting the impermanence of relationships is understanding that not all relationships are meant to last forever. Some connections are only meant to be in our lives for a season, serving a specific purpose during that time. This could be a friendship that provides support during a difficult period, a mentor who guides you through a particular phase of your career, or a romantic relationship that helps you learn more about yourself and what you want in a partner. These relationships, while temporary, can have a profound impact on your life, and their value is not diminished by their impermanence. It can be difficult to let go of relationships that no longer serve you, especially when there is a deep emotional connection or a long history involved. However, holding on to a relationship that has run its course can prevent both parties from moving forward and finding new connections that are more aligned with who they are now. Letting go with grace and gratitude allows you to honor the relationship for what it was, without being weighed down by what it no longer is. It also creates space for new relationships to enter your life, ones that reflect your current needs, desires, and values. Change in relationships is not always about drifting apart. Sometimes it's about growing closer in new ways. As you and those around you evolve, you may find that your relationships deepen and take on new dimensions. For example, a friendship that was once based on shared activities might evolve into a more emotionally intimate connection as you both navigate life's challenges together. Similarly, a romantic relationship might shift from the passionate intensity of its early days to a more stable and enduring partnership. These changes, while different from what the relationship once was, can bring a deeper sense of fulfillment and connection. One of the keys to embracing the impermanence of relationships is to focus on the present moment. Rather than worrying about what the future holds or dwelling on the past, being fully present allows you to appreciate the relationship as it is right now. This doesn't mean ignoring the realities of change, but rather accepting that relationships will evolve and allowing yourself to experience and enjoy them as they are in each moment. By staying present, you can fully engage with the people in your life, creating memories and connections that are meaningful, even if they don't last forever. Communication is another crucial element in navigating changing relationships. As people grow and change, it's important to maintain open and honest communication about how those changes are affecting the relationship. This might mean discussing new boundaries, adjusting expectations, or simply acknowledging that things are different now. By communicating openly, you can ensure that both parties are on the same page and that the relationship can continue to grow and adapt in a healthy way. Avoiding these conversations can lead to misunderstandings, resentment, and ultimately the breakdown of the relationship. It's also important to recognize that change in relationships is not always symmetrical. One person might experience a significant shift in their life, such as a career change, a move, or a personal transformation, while the other remains more or less the same. This can create a sense of imbalance in the relationship, where one person feels left behind or out of sync with the other. In these situations, it's important to approach the relationship with empathy and understanding, acknowledging the other person's experience while also being honest about your own feelings. Sometimes, this may mean adjusting the dynamics of the relationship to better accommodate the changes, or it may mean recognizing that the relationship needs to take on a different form. Change can also bring with it the opportunity for reconciliation and renewal in relationships that have been strained or broken. As people grow and evolve, they may come to see things differently, leading to a renewed appreciation for relationships that were once difficult or distant. This doesn't mean that all relationships can or should be reconciled, but it does mean that change can sometimes bring about healing and new beginnings. By remaining open to the possibility of renewal, you can allow relationships to re-enter your life in a new and healthier form, based on who you and the other person are now, rather than who you were in the past. Another aspect of embracing change in relationships is learning to accept yourself and others as they are, rather than as you wish them to be. As people grow and change, they may no longer fit the mold of who you thought they were or who you wanted them to be. This can be challenging, especially if you have invested a lot of time and energy into the relationship. However, accepting people for who they are, flaws, changes and all, allows you to have more authentic and fulfilling connections. It also frees you from the burden of trying to change others or feeling disappointed when they don't meet your expectations. In relationships where change has led to distance or separation, it's important to practice forgiveness and let go of any lingering resentment or hurt. Holding on to these negative emotions can keep you stuck in the past and prevent you from moving forward. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or condoning the other person's actions, but rather releasing the emotional hold that those actions have on you. By forgiving and letting go, you can find peace and create space for new relationships and experiences that better align with who you are now. Embracing the impermanence of relationships also means recognizing that change is not always something that happens to you, but something that you actively choose. There may be times in your life when you realize that a relationship is no longer serving you and that it's time to move on. This can be a difficult decision, especially if there is a lot of history or emotional attachment involved. However, choosing to end a relationship that is no longer fulfilling can be an act of self-care and empowerment. It allows you to prioritize your own well-being and to seek out connections that are more aligned with your current needs and desires. As you navigate the changing landscape of your relationships, it's important to remember that change is a natural and necessary part of life. Just as the seasons change and the world around us evolves, so too do the people in our lives and the connections we share with them. By embracing this impermanence, you can approach your relationships with a sense of openness and acceptance, allowing them to evolve in their own time and in their own way. This doesn't mean that change is always easy or painless, but it does mean that you can find peace in knowing that it is a natural part of the journey. In the end, the ability to embrace change in relationships comes down to a willingness to let go of expectations, of the past, of the need for control. It's about trusting that as you and the people around you grow and evolve, your relationships will find their own way, whether that means deepening, shifting, or coming to an end. By letting go and allowing relationships to unfold naturally, you can experience the richness and diversity of human connection in all its forms, appreciating each relationship for what it is, for however long it lasts. As you continue to explore the truths about people and relationships, remember that change is not something to be feared or resisted, but something to be embraced. It is through change that we grow, learn, and ultimately become more fully ourselves. By accepting the impermanence of relationships, you can find a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that each connection has its own unique purpose and place in your life, even as it evolves and changes over time. As we continue our journey through the truths of human relationships and the changes that shape them, we come to another reality that is often difficult to face. Not everyone will support your success. This realization can be particularly painful, especially when it comes from those you thought would be in your corner. Have you ever experienced the joy of achieving something significant, only to be met with indifference, subtle criticism, or even outright hostility from people you expected to be happy for you? The sting of such moments can be sharp, but understanding the roots of envy and competition can help you navigate these challenges with grace and resilience. Success is a powerful force. It has the ability to elevate us, to open doors, and to bring fulfillment. But it also has the potential to reveal the true nature of the people around us. When you achieve success, whether it's in your career, personal life, or any other area, you may find that not everyone is as thrilled for you as you had hoped. This can be a jarring experience, especially when it comes from friends, family members, or colleagues who you believed would be your biggest supporters. One of the reasons why some people may struggle to support your success is envy. Envy is a deeply rooted human emotion that arises when we perceive that someone else has something we desire but do not possess. It's a feeling that can eat away at a person, causing them to react in ways that are hurtful or dismissive. When someone close to you envies your success, they may not even be fully aware of their feelings. Instead of celebrating your achievements, they might downplay them, compare them to their own, or even avoid discussing them altogether. This behavior can leave you feeling confused and hurt, wondering why your success isn't being met with the enthusiasm you expected. It's important to understand that envy often stems from a place of insecurity. When people see you succeeding, it can trigger feelings of inadequacy or failure within themselves. They may start to question their own abilities, compare their lives to yours, and feel a sense of loss or disappointment about where they are in their own journey. This can be especially true if your success highlights areas in their life where they feel they have fallen short. In these moments, rather than confronting their own insecurities, they might project their discomfort onto you, leading to behaviors that can strain your relationship. Another factor that can contribute to a lack of support for your success is competition. In many areas of life, people are conditioned to view success as a limited resource, something that must be fought for and protected. This competitive mindset can cause people to see your achievements not as something to celebrate, but as a threat to their own aspirations. They may fear that your success diminishes their own chances of achieving similar goals, leading them to react with jealousy, resentment, or even sabotage. Competition can be particularly intense in professional environments, where colleagues may feel that your success could mean fewer opportunities for them. This can lead to a range of behaviors, from subtle undermining to outright hostility. For example, a colleague might withhold information that could help you succeed further, spread negative rumors about you, or take credit for your work. These actions are driven by a fear that your success could overshadow their own, leaving them feeling insecure about their position. Understanding the role of competition and envy in how people respond to your success is crucial for managing these dynamics. It's important to recognize that these reactions are often more about the other person's insecurities and fears than they are about you. When you understand this, it becomes easier to navigate these challenges without taking them personally. You can approach these situations with empathy, recognizing that the other person may be struggling with their own feelings of inadequacy or fear of being left behind. However, while it's important to be empathetic, it's also crucial to protect yourself from the negative impact of envy and competition. This means setting boundaries with those who do not support your success and seeking out relationships with people who genuinely celebrate your achievements. Surrounding yourself with individuals who uplift and encourage you is essential for maintaining your motivation and self-confidence. These are the people who will stand by you in your moments of triumph, offering genuine support and encouragement, rather than letting envy or competition cloud their response. It's also important to cultivate self-awareness about how you respond to the envy and competition of others. It can be tempting to downplay your success or hide your achievements to avoid making others uncomfortable. While this might seem like a way to keep the peace, it can ultimately diminish your own sense of accomplishment and prevent you from fully enjoying the fruits of your hard work. Instead, it's important to own your success with humility and grace, without feeling the need to apologize for it. Humility plays a significant role in how you navigate the reactions of others to your success. Being humble doesn't mean minimizing your achievements, but rather recognizing that your success is a result of hard work, opportunity, and often the support of others. By acknowledging the contributions of those who have helped you along the way, you can diffuse some of the envy and competition that may arise. People are more likely to support your success when they feel that it is not a threat to them, but rather a shared victory. At the same time, it's important to be mindful of how you share your successes with others. While it's natural to want to celebrate your achievements, it's also important to be sensitive to the feelings of those around you. This doesn't mean hiding your success, but rather finding the right balance between celebrating your accomplishments and being considerate of how others might be feeling. For example, if you know that a friend is struggling in an area where you have recently succeeded, you might choose to share your news in a way that acknowledges their feelings while still honoring your own achievement. It's also worth noting that not everyone who reacts negatively to your success is driven by envy or competition. Sometimes, people may struggle to support your success because it forces them to confront difficult truths about their own lives. For example, your success might highlight areas in their life where they feel unfulfilled or stuck, leading to feelings of sadness or frustration. In these cases, it's important to approach the situation with compassion, recognizing that their reaction may be more about their own struggles than about you. Dealing with the envy and competition of others can be challenging, but it can also be an opportunity for growth. These experiences can teach you valuable lessons about resilience, empathy, and the importance of surrounding yourself with supportive people. They can also help you develop a stronger sense of self-worth, one that is not dependent on the approval or validation of others. By focusing on your own journey and staying true to your values, you can navigate these challenges with confidence and grace. It's also important to remember that while not everyone will support your success, there will always be those who do. These are the people who genuinely care about you and want to see you thrive. They are the ones who will celebrate your achievements with you, offer words of encouragement when you need them, and stand by you through both the highs and lows. Cultivating and nurturing these relationships is essential for maintaining your motivation and sense of purpose. These are the connections that will sustain you, providing the support and encouragement you need to continue pursuing your goals. In situations where you encounter envy or competition, it can be helpful to focus on collaboration rather than rivalry. Instead of viewing others as competitors, try to see them as potential allies or partners in your journey. By fostering a spirit of collaboration, you can create an environment where everyone's success is celebrated and where mutual support leads to greater achievements for all involved. This approach not only helps to reduce the negative impact of envy and competition, but also builds stronger, more positive relationships. It's also important to recognize that your success can inspire others, even if their initial reaction is one of envy or competition. When people see someone else achieving their goals, it can serve as a reminder that success is possible and motivate them to pursue their own dreams. By sharing your journey, including the challenges and setbacks you faced along the way, you can provide a source of inspiration and encouragement to those around you. This can help to shift the focus from competition to shared growth and success. As you navigate the complexities of envy and competition, it's essential to stay true to yourself and your values. Success is a deeply personal journey, and it's important to define it on your own terms. This means setting goals that are meaningful to you, pursuing them with integrity, and measuring your achievements based on your own standards, rather than comparing yourself to others. By staying focused on your own path, you can maintain a sense of purpose and fulfillment, regardless of how others respond to your success. In the end, not everyone will support your success, and that's okay. What matters most is how you respond to these challenges and how you choose to move forward. By understanding the roots of envy and competition, setting healthy boundaries, and surrounding yourself with supportive people, you can navigate these dynamics with grace and resilience. Your success is a testament to your hard work, determination, and the support of those who truly care about you. By staying true to yourself and your values, you can continue to achieve your goals, inspire others, and build a life that is fulfilling and meaningful. As we move forward from the complexities of dealing with envy and competition, we encounter another profound truth that lies at the heart of all human relationships. People are flawed. This reality, though simple, is one of the most challenging to fully accept, both in others and in ourselves. Have you ever felt let down by someone you trusted, only to later realize that they were struggling with their own imperfections? Or perhaps you've been hard on yourself for not living up to your own expectations, feeling the weight of your own flaws pressing down on you. The journey to accepting imperfection is a path filled with both difficulty and liberation, as it requires us to confront the humanity in ourselves and those around us. From the moment we are born, we are works in progress. Each of us carries with us a unique blend of strengths and weaknesses, shaped by our experiences, upbringing, and intrinsic nature. This mix of traits defines who we are, but it also means that no one is perfect. We all have our limitations, our blind spots, and our moments of failure. This is true not just for ourselves, but for everyone we encounter. Understanding and embracing this fact can transform the way we relate to others and ourselves, fostering deeper connections and a more compassionate approach to life. One of the most difficult aspects of accepting imperfection in others is letting go of unrealistic expectations. We often enter relationships, whether they be friendships, romantic partnerships, or professional collaborations, with an idealized image of the other person. We expect them to be reliable, supportive, and understanding at all times, to never disappoint us or make mistakes. However, this idealized view is a setup for disappointment. People, by their very nature, are imperfect, and they will inevitably fall short of these expectations at times. When we hold on to these unrealistic standards, we set ourselves up for frustration and hurt, constantly expecting something that no one can consistently deliver. Letting go of these expectations doesn't mean lowering your standards or accepting mistreatment. Instead, it's about recognizing that everyone has their struggles, and that these struggles can sometimes lead to behaviors or decisions that hurt us. This understanding allows us to approach relationships with more empathy, seeing the person behind the actions and understanding that their imperfections are not a reflection of their worth or their love for us. It also helps us to navigate the inevitable conflicts and disappointments that arise in relationships with greater patience and understanding. Accepting flaws in others also means embracing the reality that people's flaws are often a reflection of their own pain, fears, and limitations. For example, someone who struggles with trust might have been hurt in the past and now finds it difficult to open up. Another person might seem overly critical or harsh because they are dealing with their own insecurities and fears of inadequacy. When we begin to see flaws as symptoms of deeper issues rather than personal attacks, we can respond with compassion rather than defensiveness. This shift in perspective not only helps to strengthen our relationships, but also fosters a more compassionate and forgiving approach to others. However, accepting imperfection in others is not just about understanding them, it's also about setting healthy boundaries. While it's important to recognize and empathize with others' flaws, it's equally important to protect your own well-being. This means acknowledging when someone's behavior, even if it's rooted in their own struggles, is harmful to you. Setting boundaries allows you to maintain a healthy relationship while still recognizing the other person's humanity. It's about balancing empathy with self-respect, ensuring that you are not sacrificing your own needs in the process of accepting others. Just as we must learn to accept the flaws of others, we must also learn to accept our own imperfections. This can be even more challenging as we are often our harshest critics. We hold ourselves to high standards, and when we fall short, we can be quick to judge, criticize, or even punish ourselves. However, just as others are imperfect, so too are we. We will make mistakes, we will fail, and we will have moments where we don't live up to our own expectations. Accepting this is a crucial step towards self-compassion and personal growth. Self-acceptance involves recognizing that your flaws do not define you. They are simply a part of who you are, just as your strengths are. When you can accept your imperfections without judgment, you create space for growth and change. Rather than being paralyzed by guilt or shame, you can approach your flaws with curiosity and a willingness to learn. This mindset shift allows you to view mistakes as opportunities for growth rather than as indicators of your worth. Moreover, accepting your imperfections can also lead to greater authenticity in your relationships. When you are honest about your flaws, you give others permission to do the same. This honesty fosters deeper connections, as it creates an environment where both parties can be themselves without fear of judgment. In this way, embracing your own imperfections not only benefits you, but also strengthens your relationships with others. Another important aspect of accepting imperfection is learning to forgive, both yourself and others. Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior or pretending that hurtful actions didn't happen. Instead, it's about releasing the hold that these actions have on you, allowing you to move forward without being weighed down by resentment or anger. Forgiving others for their imperfections means recognizing that they are doing the best they can with the tools and knowledge they have. It's about understanding that everyone is on their own journey and that mistakes are a natural part of that process. Forgiving yourself is equally important. We all carry regrets, things we wish we had done differently, mistakes we wish we hadn't made. But holding on to these regrets only keeps us stuck in the past, preventing us from growing and moving forward. Self-forgiveness means acknowledging your mistakes, learning from them, and then letting them go. It's about accepting that you are human and that imperfection is part of the human experience. By forgiving yourself, you free yourself from the burden of guilt and open the door to personal growth and healing. In addition to forgiveness, embracing imperfection also involves practicing humility. Humility is not about diminishing your worth or downplaying your achievements. Instead, it's about recognizing that you, like everyone else, have limitations and that you don't have all the answers. This recognition allows you to approach life with a sense of openness and curiosity, always willing to learn and grow. It also fosters a greater sense of connection with others, as it allows you to relate to them on a more equal and authentic level. Humility also plays a crucial role in how we interact with others. When we approach relationships with humility, we are more likely to listen, to empathize, and to forgive. We are less likely to judge others for their flaws because we recognize that we too have our own. This creates an environment of mutual respect and understanding where both parties can grow and learn together. By practicing humility, we can build stronger, more supportive relationships that are based on a shared acceptance of each other's imperfections. Another key component of accepting imperfection is resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and disappointments, many of which are the result of our own or others' imperfections. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from these challenges, to learn from them, and to continue moving forward. When we accept that imperfection is a natural part of life, we become more resilient because we are not as easily discouraged by setbacks. Instead of viewing challenges as failures, we see them as opportunities for growth and learning. This mindset not only helps us to overcome obstacles, but also allows us to approach life with greater confidence and optimism. Accepting imperfection also means letting go of the need for control. We often try to control situations, people, and outcomes in an attempt to create a perfect life. However, this desire for control is often rooted in fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. When we let go of the need for control, we open ourselves up to the natural flow of life, allowing things to unfold as they are meant to. This doesn't mean being passive or complacent, but rather accepting that there are some things we cannot change and that it's okay to let go. By releasing the need for control, we can find greater peace and contentment in the present moment, free from the constant pressure to make everything perfect. Finally, embracing imperfection requires us to practice self-compassion. Self-compassion is the act of treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding that you would offer to a friend. It means recognizing that you are worthy of love and acceptance, flaws and all. When you practice self-compassion, you allow yourself to be human, to make mistakes, and to learn from them without harsh judgment. This self-compassion creates a foundation of self-love that supports your growth and well-being, allowing you to approach life with greater confidence and resilience. In the end, accepting imperfection in both yourself and others is a journey, not a destination. It's a practice that requires ongoing effort, mindfulness, and compassion. But as you continue on this path, you will find that it leads to deeper connections, greater self-awareness, and a more fulfilling and authentic life. By embracing the reality of imperfection, you free yourself from the burden of unrealistic expectations, allowing you to experience life in all its messy, beautiful complexity. As we continue our exploration of human nature, having accepted the imperfections in ourselves and others, we now arrive at a truth that is both empowering and challenging. You can't control others' actions. This realization can be a hard pill to swallow, especially when you've invested in relationships, worked tirelessly to build connections, and hoped that others would respond in ways that align with your expectations. Have you ever felt the frustration of watching someone you care about make choices that you believe are harmful or unwise? Or perhaps you found yourself caught in a cycle of trying to influence or change someone's behavior, only to be met with resistance or disappointment. Understanding that you cannot control others, but only your response to them, is a key to finding peace and empowerment in your interactions. The desire to control others' actions often stems from a place of care or concern. You want the best for the people you love, and it's natural to feel compelled to steer them away from decisions that you believe will lead to pain or hardship. However, the more we try to control others, the more resistance we often encounter. People, by their very nature, value their autonomy and the freedom to make their own choices. When they feel pressured or manipulated, they are likely to push back, leading to conflict and strain in the relationship. This is why it's essential to recognize that while you can influence others, you cannot control them. One of the most liberating aspects of accepting that you cannot control others is the realization that you are not responsible for their choices. This understanding can bring a deep sense of relief, particularly in relationships where you felt burdened by the need to fix or guide someone else. When you accept that others are responsible for their own actions and the consequences that follow, you free yourself from the weight of trying to manage their lives. This doesn't mean you stop caring or offering support, but it does mean letting go of the need to control the outcome. Focusing on your response rather than trying to control others also allows you to reclaim your own power. In situations where someone's actions affect you negatively, it's easy to feel powerless, caught in a web of someone else's decisions. However, while you may not be able to change their behavior, you always have the power to choose how you respond. This might mean setting boundaries to protect yourself, choosing to walk away from a toxic situation, or simply deciding not to let someone else's actions dictate your emotional state. By focusing on your response, you regain control over your own life and emotions. This approach is particularly important in situations where someone's actions are hurtful or disappointing. It's natural to feel anger, sadness, or frustration when someone lets you down. However, dwelling on these feelings or trying to force the other person to change only prolongs your suffering. Instead, by focusing on how you respond, you can find ways to move forward that honor your well-being. This might involve having a difficult conversation, deciding to forgive, or choosing to distance yourself from the situation. Whatever the response, the key is that it is your choice, not something dictated by the other person's behavior. In relationships, focusing on your response rather than trying to control others also fosters healthier dynamics. When you accept that you cannot control someone else, you allow them the space to be themselves, with all their flaws and idiosyncrasies. This acceptance can lead to deeper, more authentic connections, where both parties feel respected and understood. It also reduces the pressure on the relationship, as you're no longer trying to mold the other person into who you think they should be. Instead, you can focus on supporting each other's growth in a way that honors both of your individual paths. Another important aspect of focusing on your response is recognizing that your emotions are within your control, even when others' actions are not. It's easy to feel that someone else's behavior is the cause of your anger, frustration, or sadness. However, while their actions may trigger these emotions, how you choose to deal with those feelings is entirely up to you. By taking responsibility for your emotional responses, you empower yourself to manage your feelings in a way that is healthy and constructive. This might involve practicing mindfulness, seeking support from others, or finding ways to express your emotions that lead to healing rather than conflict. This approach is particularly powerful in dealing with difficult or toxic relationships. When you focus on your response rather than trying to change the other person, you can protect your mental and emotional health. This might mean setting firm boundaries, deciding not to engage in arguments, or even choosing to end the relationship if it's causing more harm than good. By taking control of your response, you ensure that you are not allowing someone else's behavior to dictate your happiness or well-being. Focusing on your response also helps to reduce stress and anxiety in situations where you feel out of control. When faced with uncertainty or conflict, it's natural to want to manage every aspect of the situation to ensure a positive outcome. However, this need for control can lead to increased anxiety, as you realize that there are many factors outside of your influence. By shifting your focus to your response, you can find peace in the knowledge that while you cannot control everything, you can control how you deal with it. This mindset shift can significantly reduce stress and help you navigate challenging situations with greater calm and clarity. In addition to reducing stress, focusing on your response can also improve your relationships by fostering a greater sense of empathy and understanding. When you accept that others are responsible for their own actions, you can approach them with curiosity rather than judgment. This allows you to better understand their motivations, fears, and desires, leading to more compassionate and effective communication. Rather than trying to control or change them, you can engage in conversations that respect their autonomy while also expressing your own needs and boundaries. Another key benefit of focusing on your response is that it encourages personal growth and self-awareness. When you stop trying to control others, you have more energy and focus to invest in your own development. This might involve working on your communication skills, developing greater emotional intelligence, or finding ways to better manage stress and conflict. By focusing on yourself, you not only improve your own life, but also set a positive example for those around you. This can lead to a ripple effect, where others are inspired to take responsibility for their own actions and growth as well. It's also important to recognize that focusing on your response doesn't mean becoming passive or accepting unacceptable behavior. On the contrary, it means taking active steps to protect your well-being and create the life you want. This might involve making difficult decisions, such as ending a relationship, leaving a job, or setting boundaries with a loved one. These actions are not about controlling others, but about taking control of your own life and ensuring that you are not allowing others' actions to dictate your happiness. In professional settings, focusing on your response can also lead to more effective leadership and collaboration. As a leader or team member, you may often find yourself dealing with difficult personalities or challenging situations. Trying to control others' actions in these contexts can lead to conflict and a breakdown in communication. However, by focusing on how you respond, you can model the behavior you want to see and create an environment of mutual respect and cooperation. This approach not only improves team dynamics, but also leads to better outcomes as everyone feels valued and heard. Another aspect of focusing on your response is the practice of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean becoming indifferent or uncaring, but rather maintaining a healthy emotional distance from others' actions. This allows you to remain grounded and centered, even when faced with difficult situations. By practicing detachment, you can observe others' behavior without becoming overly emotionally involved, which helps you to respond more calmly and effectively. This practice can be particularly useful in high-stress situations or when dealing with people who have a tendency to provoke or manipulate. Focusing on your response also involves cultivating patience and acceptance. People often change and grow at their own pace, and trying to force or rush that process can lead to frustration and resentment. By accepting that you cannot control how quickly or in what way someone else changes, you can approach the relationship with more patience and understanding. This acceptance doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior, but rather recognizing that true change comes from within and cannot be imposed from the outside. By focusing on your own growth and response, you create a more supportive and loving environment that encourages positive change naturally. Finally, focusing on your response allows you to live more fully in the present moment. When you are constantly trying to control others, you are often focused on the future, on what might happen if they don't change, or how things could go wrong. This future-oriented thinking can lead to anxiety and prevent you from enjoying the present. However, when you focus on your response, you bring your attention back to the here and now. You become more aware of your own feelings, thoughts, and actions, and can make choices that are in alignment with your values and well-being. This present moment focus not only reduces stress, but also allows you to experience life more fully and authentically. While you cannot control others' actions, you have complete control over how you respond to them. By shifting your focus from trying to change others to managing your own reactions, you empower yourself to live a more peaceful, fulfilling, and authentic life. This approach fosters healthier relationships, reduces stress, and encourages personal growth, allowing you to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. By embracing this truth, you can find greater freedom and happiness in your interactions with others and in your own journey of self-discovery and empowerment. As we continue to explore the intricacies of human relationships, having acknowledged that we cannot control others' actions and must focus on our own responses, we arrive at another unavoidable truth. Some people will disappoint you. This reality is one that we all encounter, yet it often catches us off guard, leaving us feeling hurt, confused, and even betrayed. Have you ever placed your trust in someone only to have them let you down in a way you never expected? The pain of disappointment can be deep, especially when it comes from those we care about or rely on. But learning to manage expectations and practice forgiveness can help us navigate these difficult moments with greater resilience and understanding. Disappointment is a natural part of life, an inevitable consequence of living in a world where we interact with others who have their own motivations, limitations, and flaws. It can arise in any type of relationship, whether with friends, family, colleagues, or romantic partners, and it often stems from unmet expectations. When someone doesn't live up to what we hoped or believed they would do, the gap between our expectations and reality can lead to feelings of disappointment. This emotional gap is where much of the pain of disappointment lies, as we grapple with the difference between what we wanted and what actually happened. One of the key ways to manage disappointment is by reassessing and adjusting our expectations. Expectations, while necessary for guiding our relationships and interactions, can sometimes be unrealistic or based on assumptions rather than reality. When we expect someone to behave in a certain way or to fulfill a particular role without clearly communicating these expectations, we set ourselves up for disappointment. This is because we are holding others to standards that they may not even be aware of, or that they may not be capable of meeting due to their own limitations. Reevaluating our expectations involves being honest with ourselves about what is reasonable to expect from others. This doesn't mean lowering our standards to the point of accepting poor treatment, but rather aligning our expectations with the reality of who the other person is, rather than who we want them to be. It means recognizing that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, and that they may not always be able to meet our needs or desires in the way we hope. By setting more realistic expectations, we can reduce the likelihood of being disappointed and approach our relationships with greater clarity and understanding. Another important aspect of managing disappointment is communication. Often, disappointment arises not because someone intentionally let us down, but because there was a misunderstanding or a lack of clear communication about what was expected. By expressing our needs and expectations clearly and directly, we can help to prevent misunderstandings and reduce the chances of disappointment. This doesn't guarantee that others will always meet our expectations, but it does create a foundation for more open and honest interactions where both parties understand what is expected and can work towards meeting those expectations. When disappointment does occur, it's important to acknowledge and process the emotions that come with it. Disappointment can trigger a range of feelings, including sadness, anger, frustration, and even betrayal. These emotions are valid and should not be ignored or suppressed. Allowing yourself to feel and express these emotions is a crucial step in moving through disappointment and finding a way forward. Whether it's talking to a trusted friend, writing in a journal, or simply sitting with your feelings, giving yourself the space to process the disappointment can help you to gain clarity and begin the healing process. Once you've acknowledged your feelings, the next step is to practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about excusing or condoning the actions that led to the disappointment, but rather about letting go of the anger and resentment that can keep you stuck in the past. Holding on to these negative emotions can be toxic, both for you and for the relationship. Forgiveness is a way of releasing the hold that the disappointment has on you, allowing you to move forward with a lighter heart and a clearer mind. Forgiving someone who has disappointed you can be difficult, especially if the hurt runs deep. It requires empathy and a willingness to see the situation from the other person's perspective. This doesn't mean justifying their actions, but rather understanding that they may have been acting out of their own limitations, fears, or misunderstandings. By approaching the situation with empathy, you can begin to soften the edges of your anger and find a path towards forgiveness. It's also important to forgive yourself when you experience disappointment. Sometimes we can be our own harshest critics, blaming ourselves for trusting someone or for having expectations that were not met. However, just as others are imperfect, so too are we. We all have moments where we misjudge a situation or place our trust in the wrong person. Forgiving yourself means acknowledging your own humanity and accepting that disappointment is a natural part of life. It's about being kind to yourself and allowing yourself to learn from the experience without carrying unnecessary guilt or shame. Learning to manage expectations and practice forgiveness can also strengthen your resilience in the face of future disappointments. The more you practice these skills, the better equipped you will be to handle the inevitable ups and downs of relationships. You'll find that you're less likely to be caught off guard by disappointment and more capable of responding to it in a way that honors your own well-being. This resilience doesn't mean becoming indifferent or detached, but rather developing a deeper sense of acceptance and understanding that allows you to navigate life's challenges with greater ease. Another aspect of managing disappointment is recognizing when it's time to let go of a relationship that consistently fails to meet your needs or expectations. While forgiveness and adjusting expectations are important, there are times when a relationship may be causing more harm than good. If someone repeatedly disappoints you despite your best efforts to communicate and set realistic expectations, it may be a sign that the relationship is no longer serving you. Letting go can be incredibly difficult, especially when there is a strong emotional attachment, but it can also be a necessary step in protecting your own well-being and making space for healthier connections. Letting go doesn't have to be a bitter or angry process. It can be an act of self-love and self-respect, where you acknowledge that the relationship is no longer aligned with your needs and values. This doesn't mean you stop caring about the other person, but rather that you recognize that the relationship as it currently stands is not contributing to your growth or happiness. By letting go with grace and compassion, you allow both yourself and the other person the freedom to move forward in a way that is more authentic and fulfilling. At the same time, it's important to remember that not all disappointments require drastic actions. Sometimes, a single instance of disappointment can be a learning experience that strengthens the relationship rather than weakens it. By addressing the disappointment openly and working through it together, you can build a deeper level of trust and understanding. This process requires both parties to be willing to engage in honest communication and to make the necessary changes to prevent similar disappointments in the future. In addition to managing your expectations of others, it's also crucial to manage your expectations of yourself. Just as others will disappoint you, there will be times when you disappoint yourself. You may set goals that you don't achieve, make promises that you can't keep, or act in ways that don't align with your values. These moments can be deeply frustrating and disheartening, but they are also opportunities for growth and self-compassion. By recognizing that you too are imperfect, you can approach your own disappointments with the same empathy and forgiveness that you extend to others. Self-forgiveness is a powerful tool in overcoming disappointment in yourself. It involves acknowledging your mistakes, learning from them, and then letting them go. Holding on to self-blame or guilt only serves to keep you stuck in a cycle of negativity, preventing you from moving forward. Instead, by practicing self-forgiveness, you can release the burden of disappointment and focus on what you can do differently in the future. This process of self-reflection and growth is essential for building resilience and maintaining a positive self-image, even in the face of setbacks. It's also important to recognize that disappointment often arises from the gap between reality and our expectations. This gap can be narrowed by cultivating a mindset of acceptance and gratitude. Instead of focusing on what went wrong or what didn't meet your expectations, try to shift your perspective to what you can appreciate about the situation or relationship. This doesn't mean ignoring the disappointment, but rather balancing it with a recognition of the positive aspects. By cultivating gratitude, you can soften the impact of disappointment and maintain a more balanced and optimistic outlook. Gratitude can also help you to see disappointment as an opportunity for growth. Every disappointment, whether it's in yourself or others, offers a lesson. It might teach you something about your own needs and boundaries, or it might reveal areas where a relationship needs to be strengthened. By approaching disappointment with a mindset of curiosity and learning, you can transform it from a purely negative experience into a catalyst for positive change. In relationships, learning to manage expectations and disappointment also involves being realistic about what others can offer. No one person can fulfill all your needs or meet all your expectations. Each relationship has its own unique strengths and limitations, and it's important to recognize and appreciate what each person brings to your life. By accepting people for who they are, rather than who you want them to be, you can reduce the likelihood of disappointment and build more fulfilling connections. This acceptance doesn't mean settling for less than you deserve, but rather understanding that everyone has their own set of strengths and weaknesses. By focusing on the positive aspects of your relationships and accepting the limitations, you can create a more balanced and realistic view of others. This perspective allows you to enjoy and appreciate your relationships for what they are, rather than being disappointed by what they are not. In conclusion, disappointment is an inevitable part of life and relationships, but it doesn't have to be a source of ongoing pain or resentment. By learning to manage your expectations, practicing forgiveness, and cultivating self-compassion, you can navigate disappointment with grace and resilience. These skills allow you to maintain healthy relationships, protect your own well-being, and approach life's challenges with a more balanced and positive mindset. Disappointment may be unavoidable, but by embracing it as a natural part of the human experience, you can find greater peace and fulfillment in your interactions with others and in your own journey of growth and self-discovery. As we've journeyed through these hard truths about people, we've uncovered the reality that not everyone will like you, that people are inherently self-interested, and that trust must be earned. We've embraced the fact that people change, and with them, our relationships evolve. We've faced the challenges of envy and competition, acknowledged the imperfections in ourselves and others, and learned the liberating truth that we can only control our own responses, not the actions of others. Finally, we've grappled with the inevitability of disappointment and the importance of managing our expectations and practicing forgiveness. These truths, while tough to accept, are also the keys to living a more authentic, resilient, and fulfilling life. By understanding and embracing these realities, you empower yourself to navigate the complexities of human relationships with grace and wisdom. You become stronger, more compassionate, and more at peace with the world around you. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these truths resonated with you the most? Have you experienced any of these hard truths in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to continue this conversation with you. If you found value in this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on more insights like these. Your journey of growth and understanding is just beginning, and we're here to navigate it together.